Mindustry PvP. This is a game recorded on the Eviction Erekir server. This game I played before the holiday break, and it's fist fights the whole time until it's over. There are 3, 4, 5 other good players spread around, and there is the closest one to border hexes to the left. So I'm going for the locust rush that I've been practicing. Everything is locusts. It is a sad disappointment that is the state of the meta, but that is the only thing that makes sense given the stats of all the units that we're stuck with. So the way that this sets up is I make just some expansion tanks with hand feeding, and I'll take that hex to go a little closer. Then I want hydrogen to put into the beryllium drill. I need 2 beryllium drills to move forward. And then some of the other stuff. If this goes real well, then I end up with my first locust at like 4 minutes. If it goes poorly, then it takes another minute or 2. I don't look like I'm going real fast, so that is what it is. And I'm also not planning ahead my setup well, so it's going to be real ugly. You have to rotate some things and whatever. I did not set the rally point on the factory, so the second tank isn't helping take the neighbor. Alright, so 2 beryllium, silicon, then tungsten, then the refabricator. That's the plan. Once I got that done, then we do graphite. Then you need more tungsten, because 1 tungsten going into a refabricator is gonna use it all up and you're not gonna get much to build with. It really slows down any sort of tech progression to do this. So those first few locusts that you get, you got to make real good use of. You can't waste them, and you got to be aggressive with them, because if you let things sit, then other players' economy is gonna catch up and then exceed you, because your capacity to expand diminishes. So ugly, so much extra work. Well, these things should be able to just pile into one belt and go with routers or underflows or whatever, and be fine. But no, I'm doing extra spaghetti because I didn't plan ahead. Alright, there's the next hex. He's also moving towards me. When doing this, I expect to fight here. So extra beryllium on some fortifications is going to help those early locusts last a little longer, if that's what you need. I have not powered the refabricator. That's a derp. That's slowing me down. Okay. First locust on its way. Some little bunkers here, and some of the extra power, because 4 turbines on that bare locust setup is a little bit power deficit. All right, graphite. So the larger game plan here is that if I can conquer other decent players real early, then I can snowball by inviting them. And then I've got more bodies for doing army micro and economic expansion at the same time. And there's the first locust, so it is time to start the fighting. I don't see the defense immediately close. I really don't want to lose that locust to a core explosion. If I I stand here, I can hit some valuable stuff. He's starting to put a wall up. And bring up the second, and I am now the cheapest jerk that ever lived. It is super true. Hurt some power, shoot at some other stuff. That is safe to sit there for a while. Second locust coming up. I don't want to actually roll into there because then the locust is going to be subject to life support distance from a core attrition. And I need to be worried about. He's got a locust factory of his own. I'm a little bit ahead. I need these turrets to be doing anything useful with. Yeah, alright, bad luck there. Probably be doing rally point. He steals back up. But I do now have life support in that left lower. So I can hit some of that turbine space that he took. And sparing a moment to do some of the economy stuff that really falls behind if you're going to be managing 6-minute locusts like this. Alright, hit that sand. Happy with that. Now this is actually a different player. There are 2 decent players nearby. So I really want to finish off Garen. It's going to take a while because that's a Citadel. It's got a lot more armor and HP. And then I need to do it before the green player to my south comes for me. He's doing stuff to go play. I can probably hit his refabricator with what I have now. And that's actually a much more important target than his own locust shooting at me. There it goes. Now the refabricator. There's a little bit of that locust hit scan bug where it fires behind the unit. It hit those belts instead. Took out his last locust without losing anything else, and then I can sit those down and actually grind away his core. So that is 1 good player down, soon to be on my team, to make up for all this economy that isn't being built. To supplement the locusts, the next thing I'm going to want is eludes. Those are for going after cores, targets of opportunity, lone units that are rallying to a larger army. A lot of times you can pick them off with eludes. They're also really great for concentrating fire in emergencies and hit and run, raiding, that sort of thing. I'm going to start making those eludes. Alright, there he is. Garen's on my team. He is real good at data crunching and meta-analysis. He needs a little bit more on-the-ground practice as far as actually playing and doing the tactics and mechanics and stuff, but he is definitely a spreadsheet warrior that exceeds most of the people for studying unit stats and stuff. Alright, so green is going to take that core back, which I don't really care too much. I need to focus on weakening him and maybe even taking him onto my team if I can at this point. And I've opened up life support range down to hit this hex had, so he's got 2 tank factories in here, and to the left he's got his locust factory. So I want to shut down production of these. I want to wrap my way around and away from whatever he has shooting back. actually losing out to the hit scan bug there because instead of actually damaging and taking out his tanks, it's hitting the buildings around it. So it's really not great. That isolated locust to the left there was vulnerable for a little bit. While I'm keeping him busy in this hex, then I can go up to the place where you build a locust bunker and take out that one, and that will open up the path to his spawn hex. I also don't want these guys to be in that hex when the core goes. Alright, they made it out in time. Are those doors that I built up there? Yeah. Can't tell. Alright. So, opened up there. And now I can hit his locust factories. And this also acts as getting in the way of any reinforcements, sending to his main body to the right there, which he should be using, but he's not. Looks like he was more concerned with rebuilding stuff. Take those out. Take out the refabricator. Back up a little bit. And I got him. I might have been able to fend this off if he had consolidated all those forces. It also would have been an opportunity for him to take those tanks on the right and try and base trade somehow. Should have stayed and finished him off instead of heading up that way. But now that army being cut down once is small enough that the stuff that I've got spawning will be able to handle it. 3 locusts against 2 and a Stell. Yeah, it'd be fine. Maybe I could be picking up and dropping walls while I'm here, but whatever. There goes his main hex. Do some mop up on the left. Those are getting close and you can't block them. Oof. So he's out of army and he's out of ability to rebuild, but I'm also spent a lot of my tanks to do it. And the eludes. So the eludes are now coming in handy as a go and take things quickly without paying a whole lot of extra attention to it. Alright, there's blue. Blue is going to be the next thing, but hopefully Gran has been stepping up economy and unit production while I've been busy doing this. I would like to actually finish off all of Karoxide's cores so I can get him on my team. But he did a die, so I don't get that option. And I think he's going to leave pretty soon, so just the 2 of us. I want to build here, but I actually don't have that core right there. So I need to grab some loots and send them after it, and then wait. I should be getting more unit production. And here's something to worry about. So a fair amount of both Stells and Locusts, those could start pushing for me any moment now and be a problem. I don't have much army banked up at all. Connect all of this back up. Looks like Gran has put up a little bit of oxide construction. Expanding the mobility space that I can send units. I will need to start giving the blue player to my south something to do other than build up his economy. I need to get him microing army and defending things instead of continuing to build up. If we end up at a large locust factory deficit, then things are just going to get harder and harder as time goes on. Give me that additional beryllium. Looks like he is starting to spread towards me, and he's making the right call, doing it with the Stells and not the Locusts. That's an important reason that you want to keep T1 units around on this server, is everything that takes a core is at risk of dying from the explosion. So use the cheap stuff to take undefended hexes, and you save your army for the real fights. And I also want to make sure that I have walls, block-offs, doors, barriers in the way. I'm going to need that infrastructure in place when the fights with blue start happening. If he can just roll past it and directly to the cores or whatever, then that will compound with my weaker army and production at this point, and everything will go wrong. I should be thinking about Titans also, and that's why I would want to make any thorium. Blue is inched a little bit closer. I want to make sure that when he sends Stells to get any closer, there is just barely enough defensive resistance there that he needs to commit a little bit more to actually taking those cores. So like he sends 2 Stells, then I send 2 Locusts or something like that. There's very much like a sort of risk strategy. How much military force do you commit to a fight to win without committing too much that you're risking too much when you actually lose? Yeah, that's a scary army relative to what I have. I really should have a lot more Locusts at this point, especially since Gran put up 2 more refabricators that I saw but didn't look closely at. Now this is a good point to use the eludes. They can respond to these just elude attacks, or just Stell attacks, quickly. So go in, clear that out. Maybe stay in here and defend. If he starts rolling up the larger army, then I want to run away. Baffle. Alright, so there comes the main army. We're gonna get some hits in, and they're gonna run away. And hopefully they get out before the core itself falls, but him seeing me run away would be a good reason for him to not actually go for them. So the eludes can respond to that quickly and get some damage on. Even when the doors are down, bullets still hit them. Although those Locusts could drive through the open doorways, But he hit the core and his whole army was there, so that was a good bonus to me. Do I want to... And now I'm contemplating attacking into that. This might be the one spot where terrible breaches could be used, is getting some free hits on while they're trying to dismantle the doorways I'm putting up. He's going for unit healing, although he's not really particularly damaged. And with the addition of the eludes, I can also threaten to work around the side of this. So if I can keep the main force focused there and have spare eludes, then I can work on going around the side. Alright, this should be working. Those don't have hydrogen, and that's because the pipe exit thing is there. So I fix that and it goes. But it turns out it's not completely fixed. There's another construction error in there. Alright, so these 4 locuses are isolated from the main force and vulnerable. So if I can squeeze enough of my own out there, then I should be able to trade favorably by overwhelming them. Except for the pathfinding. Excuse me, no, after you. Oh. Ground units are quite bad at going through narrow corridors, and it is common for a couple of them to get stuck. Alright. He's doing a little bit of a rally. He should go to the left. He's pulling in from his base. Oh, I never finished the thorium up there. Yeah. Alright, so that's a building mistake on my end. And that's pointed the wrong way. You shouldn't even be able to build those when they're pointed the wrong way. So you gotta move select one of them and move it. That would get it out. So here I want to be sitting behind the doorways, protected and getting shots off. I didn't need to do those doors on the left at all because it's sealed. The lower right there, those look like orange tanks. So that's a reason to worry about the other player, which has been isolated on the other end of the map. Sometimes it's good to be in that position, sometimes it's not. When you're spawned isolated, sometimes you end up on a team by yourself against another team that has 3 or 4 good players accumulated. Or sometimes you get a free reign to build up economically all you want because all of the other players are actually very intensely fighting each other. Don't want to spend this entire army to take care of the blue army, so I really do want to be maneuvering behind things. The eludes are now threatening the ability to dive down there. If they can draw some of his attention away from this, that would be pretty good. I'm getting at least some of that. I can probably pick off these tanks. And there's orange. So unfortunately, orange is weaving towards me instead of towards blue. And in order to defend against any sort of commitment from that, I'm going to have more forces and split them. Oh, it would have been great if I could take out that core while he was sitting in it, but I need to worry about these small little bits eating away at fallen cores and spreading their life support in my direction. This factory is still not fixed, and that's because a tungsten and a silicon line got crossed and mixed inputs. So this probably cost me 20 locuses over the course of the game. Those would have really come in handy. You gotta be more careful when you're constructing stuff. And that orange army has now gotten to the point of being an emergency. All that stuff is gonna get lost. I should probably be built. This hex needs building up in it, which I'm gonna start doing, and maybe I can, fight from behind the core. Stuff to the right is lost. I can't send this army away because then blue will just roll in unopposed. They are safe to sit in front of the core because all the locust shots will be drawn to the buildings behind them. And I just glanced at it. It looks like Gran made some averts. I should ignore those and let more of them build up. And we have some reclaiming to do from orange. Well, there's a Titan. So, or not. And that really needs to go further to the left here. So him splitting his forces like that, only one of these can win, and I'm actually pressing against it. It's probably too aggressive, but I'm desperate. I will be able to take one of these out, and I'll probably be able to take this core also. I think I can get it with the full army there. Hit it, take it, do it, yes! Nice to have, but too little, too late. So spending my whole army to hit his whole army, but he's rebuilding faster, and I'm just going to end up further behind. The eludes are available to slow down the rebuilding here. Should have focused on Titans instead of an Afflict. We had the Thorium building up. The Surge is slow and janky. And our power probably isn't ready to support it. Yeah, the power's all orange. And he's starting to hit factories. Alright, well, how many? 6 averts. We can hit some of this stuff. That's what, a tank factory? Maybe that'll distract him. Orange hasn't come back. So after that little bit of destabilization, orange is down there, back to building up. Those walls are effectively open. These can pick off tanks if they're overnumbering them decently. It'd be really nice to have a lot more of them, but Building T2 in bulk is messy. There is not enough wall there to hold that back. I can shoot from behind it for a little bit, but they're just going to roll right in. It'd be really great to have some sort of area of effect over. It'd be wonderful to have a Titan here for this. Especially against the stealths. Titans really hurt stealths. Oh, this is going terribly. Man, now he's starting to position. He's got enough units that he can also spread them out in defensive spots to protect against the averts. And pushing up into more space. So I surrender. So that ends my participation in this game. Pretty much just straining for aggression before economy with every decision, and able to take out 2 players from it, but not the last 2. These are the perils of free-for-all. Sit here and snipe at my displeasure with my forced ally. Oh well. What are we even looking at here? 3 locust factories of visible. And then the tank factory up there. He's making a little bit of surge. Some of the combustion stuff. Some nitrogen going into faster bores. Well, and that looked like that would have been an Anthicus factory. So at this point, blue really needs to be rolling towards orange. I'm out, and he has a free economy build-up player down there, and he's got a Quell factory. He's got 2 Quell factories. And he's got a lot of tanks saved up. So he needs force concentration down there immediately. And it's not available. And those will pretty easily be able to snipe out cores. Even the area of effect goes through those titanium walls that he likes to use. I should figure out the verbal words to use to say the name of that player. There's just not quite enough vowels in there. Y player, capital Y player, something like that. Let's see. So, faced with missiles, one of the things you want to do is put down blocking ducts and a build tower if you can. Ducts are great at stopping homing missiles and Scathe missiles and all that sort of stuff. They shouldn't be. I don't think it's intended that way, but you really got almost no other options without going up to like sublimates with cyanogen. There's no vowels in that player name. Come on, you can't do commentary with that. Lead player capital Y is losing heavily now because he left orange alone and came after me. And orange let him do it by being demure. Orange probably didn't even need to make that first visit up to me earlier on. He probably could have continued to build up or spread to the right side of the map. But yeah, here we are with Quell Spam. Uh, that's how end games work, is Quell Spam. Which is so cheap and easy to build. And there's not even much reason to go up to disrupts because you just get more missiles, but you spend a bunch of carbide to get it. And you don't get more missiles than if you put the same effort into multiple Quell factories. A lot of extra effort to use slag to do the nitrogen in a T3 factory. Well, it might have turned around if I had Karoxide on my team instead of him leaving, but... That's basically the end. Nothing further interesting will happen in this game. It is just Zex mopping up the rest of the map.